Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. There's the U.S. Capitol on another beautiful day in Washington, D.C., at least beautiful from a weather perspective. President Trump's cleaning up the inside. Details, by the way, of President Trump's plan to rebuild Gaza are coming out now. The Washington Post reporting this morning the new proposal would give Palestinians cash to leave for 10 years. Get out, along with food as well. Among other things, the U.S. would administer the area for at least 10 years during the rebuild. What? Did I just say administer the area for 10 years? I did. The first steps would be clearing debris. That's a good idea, among other measures. Yeah, a lot of debris over there right now. For more, let's bring in retired Navy captain and GOP strategist Ameen Kurdi. Armin, thanks for getting up early with us there on the West Coast. Look, I have no doubt that President Trump could rebuild the Gaza Strip. He's a builder at heart. But do we really want to get embroiled in a Gaza Strip rebuilding project from an America First perspective? I got a lot of issues with this.
Morning, David. Well, two things can be true at the same time. You remember Beirut was the beautiful area for so long, just the Riviera of the Middle East. So it is true that coastal area is very, very pretty. It is also true that it is not a piece of territory that the U.S. wants to administer as part of its government. So, uh, if Israel is going to go in and take over that area, which I'm not necessarily sure is necessarily the best idea for Israel either, then maybe at some point in the future, you bring in a lot of American companies there, and they could build their resorts. But for the U.S. to administer this territory, it's a really bad idea. Plus, the appearance of U.S. For lack of a better term, colonialism or imperialism, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that perception could be there for a lot of the Arab League or other nations in the Middle East. It's like, why is the U.S. gaining a foothold in the Middle East? And the long-term consequences of that, I think, are going to be quite negative.
And let me just quickly say, this is ridiculous because to me, or first of all, the Palestinians think that's their land. Oh, this just in, it's not, but whatever. They think it's their land. So I get what Trump is trying to do here. Hey, give them some cash and they'll get out. Well, I don't think so, unless I'm missing that. They're dying over this land. I don't think they're going to just say, "Hey, you give me some money and I'm out of here." I don't know. I don't see it. Go ahead, guys. I know we have other questions, but
no, I just wanted to add to that really quickly. I mean, if I can, it seems to me as an outsider looking in that if this were to happen, it also would make it a target for terrorists, given the sentiment of Palestinians and of other Arabs. It seems to me that this would be an easy and a close target for them, no?
You're absolutely right. For any excuse, for any reason, or just the fact that there's Americans
Yeah.
there, you are putting folks in danger. It is a beautiful area, and if you can come up to some kind of cooperative agreement that all sides agree to as to how this land will be administered going forward peacefully, without Hamas, without a terrorist presence, perhaps some sort of international governance, similar to what was done with maybe Shanghai a long time ago, then perhaps this could be an area for great economic power and influence for the Palestinians. It could be a lot of money for them. It could really help invigorate the area. But absolutely, I agree with you. This is not an area or piece of land that the U.S. wants to be necessarily in control of or administering from a government perspective.
Well, that AI video that Trump released certainly got a lot of attention. But I do want to move on to other headlines here, Armin. Iran is calling out President Trump on nuclear talks. Officials argue that joint U.S.-Israel strikes have already damaged Tehran's program. European nations have backed Washington with sanctions, while Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the goal remains clear: no nuclear weapons for Iran ever. But diplomacy is still on the table. So the question is, can this approach deliver real stability in the Middle East, or does Iran's response signal more trouble ahead?
Well, let's take a look at what's going to happen today. Iran is going to be appearing along with the leaders of China, North Korea, Russia, India, and Myanmar as part of a military parade, as part of this new, as what's been called axis of upheaval, or basically a new axis or alignment against the West and specifically against the United States. Once again, I'll say that Iran is not going to give up its nuclear weapons program peacefully. I never believed it, and I always believed it had to be taken out militarily, however it was going to happen. Iran is going to continue to try to use its influence along with its new neighbors to say maybe we don't necessarily need the West. Maybe we can operate internally between us and bring other nations in that are perhaps tired of seeing the U.S. Trying to have its way around the rest of the world. Iran wants to call out the U.S. on nuclear talks. They can do whatever. President Trump genuinely does want to have a peaceful resolution to Iran's nuclear program. And, if anybody can do it, it's him. Uh, but I'm not so sure that Iran is willing to give it because it's basically all that they have right now at this point. That is a sort of a bulwark or is their chip, their get out of jail free card in a sense of their position as more than just another nation with a lot of oil. This nuclear program is very serious. Frankly, I'm more concerned about Iran exporting their nuclear technology, exporting nuclear materials to other nations or perhaps terrorist organizations by using it for themselves.
That's an interesting point. So what nations, what groups would you see as potential buyers for any Iranian nuclear technology? And I assume kind of the underlying premise is that whoever it is would probably target the United States.
Certainly, look at potential further cooperation between Iran and North Korea. North Korea has really good ballistic missile technology. Iran, has very good, a lot of centrifuges capabilities. Could there be some kind of cooperation between the two? Are you looking at maybe some larger terrorist organizations? Iran trying to basically rebuild its proxies in the Middle East with a nuclear material, even if it's just a dirty bomb, not necessarily one that's can destroy a city, but one that can make a large section of a city uninhabitable for a very long period of time. Uh, Cooperation with Russia, cooperation with perhaps other countries that are in the Indo-PACOM region that might want to align themselves with China, vice the U.S. if there was ever any kind of conflict with Taiwan. So the possibilities are endless, especially if Iran says, hey, we'll also perhaps sell you some discounted oil from our country, we'll work some kind of deal. So it's something the U.S. needs to be continuously, perpetually worried about, so long as this miserable, stinking religious theocracy is still in control of Iran.
Yeah. And by Indo-PACOM, you mean Indo-Pacific, correct? Just want to make sure when you
Correct.
said that, I was like, Indo-PACOM, Indo-Pacific. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Armin. Appreciate
Certainly.
your analysis. All right.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Coming up, a simple at-home brainwave test could detect Alzheimer's years early, a potential game changer for the millions affected. We're back in a moment, everybody.